Chapter 116 Falling Out. Hearing these words, he raised his head to yawn. Then he sneered, saying, "Treat me unjustly? Those are some grand words. You think I am truly scared of your Mo estate? Were it not for the many days I had teacher Mo for a master, imparting onto me his great medicinal expertise, and the foul reputation I would receive for bullying women. Humph! Against you, with only a single hand, I could kill this entire Mo estate without allowing even a dog or chicken to remain." Han Li's words chilled to the bone, his expression extremely sinister. Han Li determined his plan. Since he was unable to cheat the Mo estate of the precious jade, he would adopt a sinister attitude and only used unyielding methods. He planned to show a bit of his skill and have the wives know that this man was difficult to handle, forcing them to hand over the precious warm yang jade. When Lady Yan and company had first heard Han Li's fierce words, they all had stunned expressions. But soon after, they smiled bitterly. Third wife Lu even bent backwards from her blossoming laughter. It was clear that these wives were not convinced by Han Li's words. But soon, their faces were completely frozen. That was because Han Li had extended a finger. A fireball suddenly appeared at his fingertip. When this winecup-sized fireball appeared, the entire room's temperature suddenly rose. It was as if the wives had entered a scorching summer. Then Han Li coolly gazed toward them, as if he were trying to find a target for his fireball technique, in order to have these wives know he was somewhat ferocious. However, he did not expect that before Han Li made a move, Lady Li couldn't help but yell "Cultivator!" with an expression of fear. The rest of them also turned deathly pale. Looking at the five wives with an ice-cold expression, he saw that they were emotionally moved and looked at Han Li with gazes full of astonishment. These women knew about the existence cultivators but were unexpectedly frightened by Han Li. Their expression appeared even more gloomy. "You truly are a cultivator?" Third wife Lu widely opened his beautiful eyes, asking with some doubt. Han Li snorted. "Hula!" Without saying anything further, he simply shot the fireball toward the table next to Lady Lu and reduced it to ash in the blink of an eye. This action filled Lady Lu's face with fright, completely whitening it. She immediately stood and recoiled several steps away from the ashes before shakily coming to a stop. Currently, if any other man saw that lovely, delicate face, they would have immediately fallen crazy for her. Unfortunately, Han Li absolutely could not appreciate this view. He was currently staring at Lady Li, who had shouted "Cultivator." He asked with a cold voice, "Second wife, how do you know of cultivators? Could it be you've seen other cultivators before?" Lady Li became terrified. She was greatly fearful of Han Li's status of a cultivator. "Don't ask second sister. I will tell you about matter regarding cultivators." From the side, Lady Yan closed her eyes with a tired expression before interrupting Han Li's questioning. "Oh, then could you enlighten me?" Han Li stroked his nose, his expression somewhat relaxed. "This isn't something to hide. Jiayuan City has a large population, and everyone knows of the existence of cultivators." After Lady Yan opened her eyes, she said this with a bitter smile. "Even some people outside the city have seen the wars between cultivators with their own eyes. It is said they could call the wind, summon the rain, and control blasts of fire. Each and every one of them is like a living immortal." Lady Yan said this and looked at Han Li with a peculiar gaze. So it was like that. Han Li patted the back of his head. He had unexpectedly forgotten that Jiayuan City was not at all a small region like the Celestial Rainbow Mountains. Having cultivators appear here seemed to not be such a rare occurrence. Yesterday, did he not see that blue-clothed man? Then did Teacher Mo also know the existence of cultivators? Han Li thought of something and could not help but carelessly ask. Of course he knew. Lord Husband had seen the wars between cultivators with his own eyes. Lady Yan felt that nothing good would come from hiding anything and replied without hesitation. Dr. Mo was quite infatuated with cultivators. So it turned out that he had previously seen a true cultivator. Unfortunately, He did not have spiritual roots and wasted his many schemes, even bringing slight benefits to myself, Han Li thought. However, Han Li suddenly felt somewhat baffled. Why was Lady Yan currently so obedient? Whatever he asked, she sincerely replied. The slightest temperament was absent. On the mere basis that he was a cultivator, the other party had completely surrendered. Han Li found this hard to believe. Han Li carefully observed Lady Yan's expression and found that she had an easy, relaxed expression with some slight impatience. Could it be she stalling for time? Han Li wrinkled his brow and released his spiritual sense. There was not a sign of a single outsider intruding near the building. Han Li looked around and suddenly stood. He walked around the room, carefully observing in every direction. It seemed there was nothing suspicious, and the furniture in the interior of the room were quite simple. Apart from the tables and chairs, it was the same as yesterday. All except for a white candle, half melted from its burning wick. Candle? Han Li's gaze fell upon the candle. He had originally believed the white candle was lit in memory of Dr. Mo, and thus he did not mind it. But now he remembered, since they had been holding a memorial service for their lord husband, why did they not light any incense? This was somewhat abnormal. Thinking of this, Han Li used his nose to carefully smell and found the air to smell like sandalwood. This fragrance was far too light. If one did not deliberately pay attention, they absolutely could not perceive this. When Lady Yan saw Han Li look at the candle, she stood slightly less naturally. But after Han Li sniffed the air, her face greatly changed. At this moment, Han Li's face broke into a smile that was unusually cheerful. What's so funny? Even if you discovered the trick of the candle, it's already too late. This bewitching drug can intoxicate 1,000 men. When ordinary people smell this, their bones loosen and their muscles become soft, losing all power in their limbs. Even when martial artists smell this, they lose their true chi in martial arts. Even if you're a cultivator, you've already been in this room far too long to remain unaffected. Lady Yan somewhat lost her patience and spoke those testing words. It's nothing. It's just that I feel that my luck is not bad at all. Han Li said with a smile. When I was at the Seven Mysteries sect, I have long heard of the methods employed by Jang Hu's ghost sect, including their poison. I have received an extremely deep impression of bewitching sense because I had previously suffered hardships and experienced dangers from which I couldn't protect myself. Because even a common man could use poisons to easily kill a great expert, I long racked my brains for a solution until I finally figured out a way to protect myself from the silly methods of incapacitating drugs and poisons. Han Li somewhat contently stated. Lady Yan and company looked at each other in dismay. What kind of method was this? How could it be that he had still not collapsed? This must have been true. As of currently, the ladies' complexions had already turned completely white. As for what method? Seeing that the wives could not help but want to hear him spill his secrets, even tilting their ears, Han Li could not refrain from chuckling inwardly. I don't plan on telling you because I have a habit of not revealing my secrets to my enemies. Han Li said with a deadpan expression.